If sorrow is the world, then love is its progenitor, anger its avenger. If anger is the world, then sorrow is its follower, and love its betrayer. If love is the world, anger is its defender, and sorrow its prompter. Three worlds. That peculiar triangular feeling of love, sorrow and anger, how one flows into the other, how they turn into each other, sometimes at a moment's notice. Hello. ISRs. This is Saturday and it's 4 o'clock and it's every other day, so I'm reading some poems again. This time with a special guest, a virtual special guest, an imagined special guest. Since they can't actually be here, I'll be bringing a couple of their poems to read to you, alongside a few of my own. So I hope you're well wherever you are. I don't know if it's getting colder or warmer at the moment. I've got bright blue skies and occasional clouds. Some of you think I've got storms and floods and all sorts, so I'm wishing you well for that. So I've called this one Songs or Poem are Set for Sadder Times. I don't hope it's not too sad, it's just that some of the subjects touched on are quite harsh. But also I hope there's some comfort in amongst them. As I said, in three worlds, sorrow so quickly becomes love. This one is called Monsters, and I suppose it's inspired by those giant monster movies, Godzilla and King Kong and so forth, and Godzilla versus King Kong and Godzilla versus so many other beasties. And it's called Monsters. I reach to touch a flower, soft bristles on my skin, and a kiss of bright yellow in my eye. You bend to dodge a tower, your hand upon my neck to draw me in and ask me why. Around us and above us, there are giant monsters fighting. Taking the child upon my shoulder, walking through the underpass, singing rough lullabies to keep his trust. The nights, it must be said, are getting colder, pulling up our collars, showered glass pitter-patters on the dust. Once behind us, now before us, the giant monsters are fighting. Shared bites of a candy bar from a smashed machine, another clasped in two tiny sticky hands. I'm a hungry monster, rah! We are too small to fear being seen, just keeping watch to see where the masonry lands. Still and through another night, the giant monsters are fighting. Rumour is boats are loading those who do not wish to stay. Even if this leg were free, I wouldn't reach. The hospitals exploding, surgical beds racing down the highway. You should join them on the beach. I will wait here and wonder at the giant monsters fighting. I reach to touch a flower, soft bristles on my skin, and a kiss of bright yellow on my eye. Where is it from, this power? Who will win? And why are these giant monsters fighting? Some years ago, you'll remember, there was a plane, passenger plane, shot down over the Ukraine. And there was never really explanation why. Many people were killed, of course. Many children. Some of them children who'd just been put on a plane by their parents, left behind at the airport. And this is a response to that one, MH17. So many shocked to hear such news, reflective of their own fear and pain. But such grief and news will pass away again. It passes on. But I am too much of a fixed point. I have stayed behind, losing touch and sight and scent and sound, still alive to learn the news from the ground. From the ground, some are fighting over, some are flying over. My children falling from the sky, and I not with them, to catch them as we fell, and with them die. Hey, how you doing? The sun shines, the fields grow, this I know, this I know. You build your home upon my back, lines drawn by the whip crack, and what you reap is what you sow. The sheep call, the cattle low, this I know, this I know. Towers clawed into the soft sky, the gate locked, the wall high, and what you reap is what you sow. The sea comes in, the sea goes, this I know, this I know. Thousands fall beneath the wave, meant to keep you all you have, and what you reap is what you sow. My heart races, my heart slows, this I know, this I know. Nothing held in open hands amongst the tall and forest strands, and what you reap is what you sow. My soul sings, my sweet soul, this I know, yes, this I know. Upon the wind, the harsh cry from the twisted towers by, and what you reap is what you sow. For some reason, I don't know why, maybe it's mentioned of the towers. That poem so reminds me, or made me think, or has me think of the exiting president, who I shan't bother to name. What you reap is what you sow. One more now before I introduce my special virtual guest. This is called The Warrior. And while it's not explicitly about, it is reminiscent to me and connected to me with the death of George Floyd. It may feel like that to you, I don't know. Speaking of the exiting president too, the warrior. The warrior had put down his shield. People were walking freely. There was no fear. Sunshine is a kind thing mostly. But the king believes it his. And most of us nod, benignly, ridiculous really, give it no mind. The men in armour shine so brightly. The king believes them his. The warrior walked a street, beautiful, sunshine shining in his skin, deep gold, deep power emboldened. That's enough. Silver on the armour brings him down, pile on the silver badges. The king believes it his, the sunshine stolen in another's skin. Crush the criminal. The warrior unshielded, sunshine unshielded, suffers at the king's hand, the king's men. Fear in the street, fear in the land. The king will not claim that, will not claim that. The warrior. Which brings us to my surprise special guest. I say surprise also because he doesn't know I'm doing this. I hope he won't mind. A fella that I met in the Midlands, very fine poet, named was Antony Owen. I'm going to read from his book here, The Nagasaki Elder. Antony writes prolifically on subjects of war, on casualties, on refugees, on that sort of military injustice inflicted. And so I hope you won't mind me reading 3. A lot of this book is touches on Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and the infernos on this. The second part is a more general, although bits of it touch on the Coventry Blitz, and the 3 poems, fairly short poems that I'll read, concern that, the bombing of Coventry. So this is Antony Owen. Coventry homes of Tudor wood. The last survivors told yawning grandchildren how fingers poked through rooftops as godless spires pointing to gods who left them with the 8th day. Tudor houses will not survive firestorms. Sand, clay and dung rest on tar-coated wood. Imagine the smell if you add flames and collateral damage. Picture other mosaics you never saw that burned. A wife who worshipped her war-mute husband. He stirred his tea for an hour, watching sailors drown. Picture the face-down deaths of firemen. Serpentine hoses thrashing unmanned water, the rainbows they made in pools of fading eyes. These were our flint of kin, weaving flesh through flame, knitting their hated accents into feared machinery. We are different cogs. Our words are revolutions. The second poem, Evacuee, comes with a quote from someone who was evacuated from Coventry. Those who fight refugees from coming into our country forget that not so long ago their ancestors were refugees of war. We were called evacuees. It means the same thing. The new talk was Exodus. Children sent from Coventry. clasping umbilical gas masks tighter than their mothers. The manic banshee of sirens caused Jack to wet himself. In full moon sky, the whites of his eyes are searchlights. Tonight, the trains shall wail with children playing brave. There is no love rationed when a child is cleaved from their kin. And the third, if I could say this right, a German word, Koventrieren, which is a word introduced after the Coventry Blitz into the German language, meaning to completely destroy a city from the air. I heard unspoken communions made, which old people keep until deathbeds. The wine of your wounds on bomb-glow breasts exposed by Luftwaffe, and a deep-rooted shame you had to admit before guilt and cancer ate you. If only you had laid him 3 yards to the left, you would both be arm in arm down High Street now, mother and son in a beautiful chain of events that began in the Blitz and ended in your crib. This never happened because you fed him on time. Three poems by Antony Owen and the Nagasaki Elder, which is published by V Press. How you doing? Carlos is here. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. Not sure who else, but... So to return to a few of mine, and I don't know, I suppose in part there's a hope that some of these will begin to add some comfort to sorrowful times, or a touch of anger, or whichever, but love, sorrow and anger. Infant. If God had truly been a child, raw and fresh in his mother's arms, and so open to harm, maybe then I'd think him one of us. No angels throng to catch him from the scabbing of a knee, or to bear him from the slaughter all the other kids enjoyed. Suckling on his mum, I'd not expect him to know hunger, not so young, not for long. But perhaps he did know the sense of bliss, lost so soon and seemingly forever. I'd hope that he'd remember. But then he never was a dad, never totally surrendered. In the case of ice, when everything is cold to touch, when the dog is grinding, gnashing on the heart, when limbs cannot move but to draw you tighter to the chest, and every gaze is a crater waiting to explode, and the dark demon tugs at the string. Do not, said the angel of light, give dignity to despair. Even when my shine makes the shadow more bright, even when the drink and the drugs make jewels to be lost in a night, even when every last of your beauty drips into ugly and a feared one's slight. Do not, said the angel of light, give dignity to despair. Blind now to the flower still bound within the seed, deaf to the child you fed in long-forgotten days, damned in the eyes of none but oneself, clutching at the sky while the earth stands solid at your feet, walking, and ashamed of your soggy pants, never breathing in enough and afraid of your own need. Do not, said the angel of light, weeping, give dignity to despair. But let it go, poor crow, to its own sweet freedom in the air. I think I saw someone else posted or commented online not so long ago that all we can do is keep feeling the feelings, one step in front of another in the end, until they change, until they're known. This one touches on that a little bit. In part, it's inspired a little, perhaps, by the story of Orpheus in the underworld, or any underworld journey it could be. Unless you make the journey, you won't know how it ends. He was allowed no light as he departed. That was kept for the king of hell around his throne. And as he started from the hall, the silence fell, shattered, and it all broke loose. Such a scream of noise on his way attended, and the blackness of the depths brought visions drear. His thought defended nothing, turned his steps to doubts, to self-recrimination and despair. Hate and many other nightmares celebrated the jarring of his head against the cave, the tearing of a knee upon the stair, lacerated wounds without, within, the suffocated grave around, all that beat inside, the acid blood and every ounce of weakness tied about his limbs. Would he turn for comfort, if he could, in the arms and breasts of she who climbs upon his back? There is no turning round. Good is nowhere here. Direction is found only by falling or not, or taking another hate-filled step upon the stair. Weight is pulling him into a pinprick mirror ball, fills the empty grip with a knife to slice the stulted blood thin. Take the step. Take the step. The worst of the moments are never seen. So encompassing is the dark, so wrenched the scream. The passage into the sun was felt a thing obscene, lighting as it does the falling off of the dream, illuminating edges, limits, the stark solidity. He blinked in disbelief, still, faith left behind. The passing stranger drew near, with a tremor said, "Young musician, your journey, your strength to withstand such a journey. Will you look here? I know it to be something never taken into such a place. Your heart. I found it outside and kept it safe. Unless you make the journey, you won't know how it ends. I'm lying on my bed, trying not to breathe, trying not to raise the temperature of the room, trying not to displace air. I'd try to have no weight, but it seems I need that to sink into the mattress, through the floor and back to soil. Soil in my mouth makes me panic, scrabble, choke. The rat inside propels me up again, greedy thing. Doesn't care how it sounds to others, just squeals. I lie in my bed. Underneath the cover, try to keep warm. Listen to the room. It is glad of the extra heat, it says. Doesn't mind if I breathe. Cry if you like. I am not locked, and everyone needs release. So I have the paralyzing effect of these feelings, these moods. When it all feels so heavy, when you feel like you don't really want to have any presence in the world. And then at some point, it becomes okay to. This is a little daydream. And what it would be if, well, the title of it says, when to cry was as normal as laughing. Each of us would cry at least once in a day, the tear for time's passing, often followed by a laugh. On the tube in the mornings, tears would run more regularly than the trains sometimes. Conversations held with little notice of the tracks on each other's faces. Tears of parting, too, of turning to face solitude, though togetherness came to be an easier thing. Some could not stop crying. Little wonder. Always handing over from too little to those who had too much. Though tears will turn to anger when you're all cried out, and there's still the same injustice weeping justification. The people cried for different things, but no one questioned why anymore. As needful as the rain. After a shower, it always turns out nice again, is what we said. Soon the research showed us that we cried out of love. Shy then. We dried our eyes as best we could. But I'm weeping now, even so. I'm weeping now. Gosh, I hope this isn't too sad. I don't know. Catharsis is an important thing, isn't it? Catharsis. I wonder, when we find an appropriate moment when the healers and the helpers can feel they can relax and rest and know that there isn't further avalanche coming. rest of us step out and say, are you all right? How we'll cope with the catharsis that we're going to need. I've got 2 more for you, gentle ones. Hopefully a bit more hopeful. And then I'll repeat the one I did right at the beginning. This is called The Well. There's a well, you say, in the garden. We can hear its call as we approach. We're glad there's a wall around it. To sit on, yes, but more, what a thought is silent. And you pull water from it to show you can. It's there. This is what people used to do before taps. When I drink some, you shy. But as it's clear I will not die, so do you. We sit on the wall, on the edge of it all. The well feels like tomorrow, the wall today. The garden's a keen display. All you've done, dug, planted, watered. And of course, a large part of getting through this is self-care. Feeling the feelings, for sure. Looking after each other, looking after ourselves. This one is called Slept. This time, sleep kissed me and left with the dawn. A gentle parting. Their pillows still warm and indented. Sleep is sometimes so light to leave no trace of their staying the night. This morning, though, their hands have eased me through, smoothed my forehead, rested my eyes. A slew of worries turned to hope in wakefulness. A beating heart made calm with their caress. Sleep has forgiven all my heated slurs thrown out of bed, the long small hours curse made in gritted sheets, when alone the harms of day have kept me fighting from sleep's arms. They left a note this morning in my hand. Walk in peace, fitful lover, writ in sand. That's my set for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Like I say, I hope it's not been too sad, or if it has touched on sadness, that there's some glint and sunshine upon it. I was reading earlier some poems from Antony Owen's book, The Nagasaki Elder, and I'll read from somebody else's next time I'm here, which will be day after tomorrow, which ain't tomorrow, it's the day after. Thank you so much for joining, because I can't always tell who's watching, but I think Jenny's out there and Barbarian's out there and Heather might be out there. I hope so. Love to you all, and anybody else that I've not seen. So this one to finish. 3 worlds. If sorrow is the world, then love is its progenitor, and anger its avenger. If anger is the world, then sorrow is its follower, and love its betrayer. If love is the world, anger its defender, and sorrow its prompter.